Guys, thanks for tuning in to Middle Class Reactions. Today we're going to take a look on the Pierce Morgan channel. He had Dr. Phil on, which is actually probably the least insane person he's had on in a good while. And we're going to take a look at what Dr. Phil has to say. If you haven't heard, Luigi Mangione, if I'm saying his name right, Pam Bondi is calling for for him to receive the death penalty. If you don't know who that is, that's the person that unalived that healthcare CEO like 5 or 6 months ago, probably. So I haven't watched this yet. This is live, be a live reaction. I'm curious what Dr. Phil has to say about this because he's actually someone I respect, and he has, especially since he left the Dr. Phil show and has like been doing his own thing, started his own media company. It's actually been doing some really cool stuff. So I'm actually curious to see what he's going to say about this. So let's take a look.
Special coming up on April 22nd on Merit TV. America's anger with insurance companies. Obviously, this relates to the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson and the sort of deification and glorification of his accused killer, Luigi Mangione. Tell me about your views on this.
You said it very eloquently, as you often do. There are two strands to this. One is I absolutely unqualifiedly condemn someone walking up behind an insurance company executive and shooting them in the back of the head and killing them. There is no reason that you can ever come to justify doing that. I don't care what your circumstance or situation is, that there's nothing to justify that. That's not justice, that's murder, and that person will pay the price for doing that. I don't care how much you want to glorify him, and there were people celebrating that, and it was disgusting to me. Now, having said that, taking that aside, the conduct of these insurance companies in so many cases is absolutely appalling because there's no question that they're putting the balance sheet ahead of the individual's well-being. And I understand that insurance companies, like everybody else, has to make money, but the pattern and practice of denying claims, delaying claims, deflecting claims, and what they've got is people that are not healthcare trained, they're not doctors in many instances, making decisions about whether to approve procedures that physicians have recommended, prescribed in cancer patients, for example. And then some bureaucrat in an insurance company says, nah, we're not going to approve that. We think that's experimental. We think this, we think that. Or they delay it. In the meantime, their attitude is, these people change jobs, this will move on and become somebody else's problem. They're fighting a war of attrition. The problem is the disease progression just keeps on going, and it's costing people's lives. And it's absolutely, when you listen to the whistleblowers, when you look at the statistics, it's absolutely appalling that they're allowing this to happen. And they're so big that it's hard to get to them and hold them to account. And so they're just red taping people to death.
Yeah, guys, so there's a few things there, and I agree with everything he just said. Like, not justifying the assassination of that healthcare CEO. What's curious to me is the American people's reaction to it, because like or not what happened to that healthcare CEO, the reaction to it you have to pay attention to, because those are the everyday people. And I'm not talking about the loud minority, but I'm talking about the majority of a populace. You know, if you have 60%, 70% of people react in one way, you have to pay attention to that. And I don't know if that was the percentage reacting in a like in a gleeful way that happened to the healthcare CEO, but it was enough where you need to pay attention to it. And what Dr. Phil just brought up was a very good point of like these insurances are just doing some horrendous things to people. Now, I've had very good luck with insurance, thankfully. I've had multiple pretty severe injuries, and my insurance took care of me, or my job took care of me, and I had good insurance. So I'm thankful for that. It's a blessing for sure. But I also work around hospitals for a living, and I see what some of these insurances are doing, and it's awful. It's horrendous. So Pam Bondi seeking the death penalty, not shocking. I mean, dude did assassinate somebody, so like allegedly, don't want to catch a lawsuit. Assassinated somebody. So yeah, fair's fair. But the reaction to it's what was shocking to me. You can even go back and I might do a video on it. You can go back and look at the Piers Morgan channel and see some of the debates right after it happened, and how many people were coming on going like, yeah, that's a good thing that happened. It was crazy to see. So I'll be curious to see where this ends up going. I feel like if Luigi Mangione, whatever the guy's name is, if he doesn't end up getting some super harsh sentence, you're gonna have one side. You're gonna have one side that's like, oh, this person needs to get off. He didn't do anything bad. You're gonna have another side that's gonna say like, hey, he just unalived somebody. He needs to face the consequences. I think both sides are gonna be upset. I think the people who are going to be more upset are the people is if he gets the death penalty. The people who, not all, but a lot of them that were on the left will do what the left does and riot or, go protest in an interstate and then be upset when they get hit by a car or, whatever happens.
It's absolutely shocking. We started with politics, Phil. We're going to end with a bit of politics just quickly.
All right, guys, so that's going to be the end of that. So, because they're already moving on to politics. Just wanted to go over that real quick. So, yeah, I'm going to be keeping an eye on that case and seeing what happens. I think culturally wise, that's a pretty important case to keep a look at. So, stay tuned for that. Like, share, subscribe, do all the things you know you're supposed to do. And y'all have a great night. Thanks for tuning in.